Hi, Jill Allen here from Jill Allen and Associates, and I am bringing a new little mini series to you that I have been thinking a lot about as we have been moving through the COVID-19, and I know so many of you are beginning to open up or think about opening up your practices again. And I know that as I have been talking to so many of my clients, part of my job is not only to advise on how to do orthodontic business and to help doctors and practices succeed as a newer, younger startup practice. But it's also just to really listen to my doctors and listen to what they've got going on and to be able to give them good counsel. And I've been very encouraged over the last few weeks, just in what I have been hearing in what so many of you have been able to do is take this time once you got through the kind of the stress of what does this look like to our industry, but to really take the time to say, gosh, how can I make my practice and myself better if I've got time to be working on all of these things? What can I do and what can I do to make myself better? And as I've been listening to my clients and doing our accountability meetings, it's been just really encouraging to see the shift from what seemed like despair when all of this happened to just this really positive growth that I'm seeing in many, many of my clients, and I'm seeing out in a lot of the groups as people are rallying around each other and saying, hey, we've got this and we're going to be able to make it through. And that, really got me thinking, I feel like in times of need and stress, we all kind of have our things that we go to. And, I think once we made it through our binge watching a Netflix and, spending, 8 hours a day on Facebook and watching all of the reads and feeds out there, then I think, we really start to dive into, what is it that I can do for myself with this time? And as I was going through that and thinking about that, I thought, this is a great time to talk about and do a little mini series on 4 ways to be true to you. And I was asked to speak at the AAO this year. And unfortunately for all of us, it got canceled. And I thought, I'm going to take the presentation that I was going to do and break it apart a little bit, because I think there are just some really good pieces that I hope that you will be able to pull from this little mini series as you continue to move forward. So the first thing that I really think is important for us to think about is, if we want to, and you may have been, changing your mindset about how did you think about things pre-COVID to maybe how are you going to be thinking about things afterwards. And I think the first area that we really, if we look back and we think about is, I think a lot of us kind of get stuck in what I call a fixed mindset. And there are plenty of books out there that talk about this. But, a fixed mindset is where we just kind of get ourselves trapped and tunneled in. And, it can be anything from this negative self-talk that we tend to have as business owners, as employees within our businesses. And so here's just a couple examples that I have thought of that are applicable to our industry, in where we can kind of get stuck in this negative trap. So a fixed mindset is when we think about something and we self-talk ourselves and say, I'm not a good treatment coordinator. I'll never be a good treatment coordinator. Or maybe as a doctor, you say to yourself, or as an owner of your practice, I'm not a good leader and I'll never be a good leader, so I'm just going to stop trying. Or maybe I'm not a good social media influencer, and so because I'm not good at it now, I'll never be good at it. And what I think happens is when we get ourselves stuck in this very fixed mindset, it's really hard for us to move forward. And what has been so encouraging to me is, because I do accountability calls with different doctors and clients throughout my year, throughout my months, it's been really great for me to just see this really change and how people's mindsets have been, because they've been able to free themselves up a little bit from the daily grind. And what I think has been happening, and I would encourage you, if you haven't been able to identify it, is to really think about what is that change from going from a very closed mindset look like to going to an open mindset. So, and I think, one of the easiest things we can do is say the word yet. And, I think that just that small little word completely takes us from this closed box to this open opportunity. So instead of, negative self-talking ourselves, I'm not a good treatment coordinator, and leaving it closed, if we add that yet on, I'm not a good treatment coordinator yet, or I'm not a good leader yet, or I'm not a good social influencer yet, what that does is that opens us up and gives us that positive self-talk that then encourages us to be able to go out and say, how can I become a better treatment coordinator? Or what are the tools that I need to look at to help me become a better leader? Or how can I find different tools or different mentors out there to help me become a better social media influencer? Now, these are just 3 of them, but I think what it comes down to is taking us from that very closed, where it's just rigid, to this opened, and really helping us own our thoughts. And I think that's what it's really about when we're thinking about, how do I do this better for me? How do I do this better for my team? It starts with owning our thoughts. So I think some of the biggest thieves of our joy is when we compare ourselves with others. And I'll have to say, it has been good and bad when we have spent a lot of time. I'm going to talk about social media right now. When we've spent a lot of time on social media, I think there's some people that have been doing just a really great job out there. And I think it can be very easy for us to say, oh gosh, I felt good that I did my 3 posts because that was my goal. But oh my goodness, look at this person here. They did 5 posts, and now I'm, negative Nancy on myself, versus just encouraging myself that, hey, I did 3 more posts than I've done in my whole previous year prior to COVID. And so I think that it's so important that we claim our mindset and we claim where we're at and recognize when we've got that negative self-talk going on. So comparison is one of the biggest things. And I feel like with any of us, in anything that we're going to choose to do for ourselves or choose to do for our practice, we kind of have to have blinders on a little bit. And sometimes we just need to be able to say, hey, good for that person that they got 5 posts in and I only got 3. And I'll tell you, as speaking real and being as a consultant, it's really easy, just like it is for all of you, to look out and go, oh gosh, look, they did 5 video blogs and they did this and they did that, and I'm only doing this. And you have to come back and and I have to say, we're all in this for the right reason. And I want to encourage my fellow consultants, and I want to encourage my fellow doctors, and I want to encourage my fellow peers. And so instead of me taking that energy away from them, I need to be projecting that back and going, hey, go girl, I'm glad you got 5 posts in this week. I'm doing my best to stay on my social media schedule, and I'm keeping my 3 in check. So really watch yourselves with comparison. And really remember that everybody has got other things going on behind the scenes than what we're seeing on highlight reels. And, that has really become a big deal to me as I've been talking to many people, peers and clients, and realizing that, oh my gosh, everybody has struggled and everybody has had doubt and everybody has wondered where they're going. And it's not just me. And I think that that's just so important. The next thing is we really need to be aware of worrying about other people's opinions. Because when it's all said and done, it really doesn't matter. People aren't out there thinking about us as much as we would love to think it. And, I got this flow chart from Rachel Hollis's book. And I just love, what she says, but, it's, just kind of going over, if someone has an opinion about you, you need to, identify, okay, it's okay to have an opinion about me, but does it matter? And am I going to let it ruin my day? And am I going to dwell on it and try and change their mind? Because when it's all said and done, nobody's going to really remember that except for us. And we've got to be able to let that go. Just let it go. Our life is too busy, too important to dwell on worrying about what other people think of us. Because in the reality of it, they really probably aren't thinking about us. They really probably aren't spending their whole life going, gosh, I wonder what Jill's outfit yesterday looked really horrible, or gosh, you can kind of see her grays because she hasn't been to a hairdresser in 6 weeks. I just don't think anybody's really out there caring enough to, to hold on to that more than a fleeting glance. So we shouldn't worry about it either. The next thing is judgment. And I think especially the more successful you become, I really, truly believe this, that nobody who has achieved more than you will ever judge you for where you're at. Because you know what? We all started somewhere. We all started at the bottom. We all started with one social media post, or our very first new treatment coordinator exam, or our very first exam as a brand new doctor trying to come up with a treatment plan and present a case and hope for a $5,000 start. And I think that is just so important, as again, we should not be worrying about judgment of others. I think sometimes we are just so hard on ourselves, and we bring on all of this just self stress that we don't need. And so I just want to really encourage you to hold on to that. I am so blessed to be in so many of the social media groups out there. And one of the things that makes me the happiest about our industry is to see what I think to be some really big influencers that are constantly reaching out to new doctors and giving them tips and tools to help you succeed. And there's great tips and tools out there for you as team members. And I think, we need to be not afraid to ask for help and not worry about judgment, because I truly believe nobody who's achieved more than you will ever judge you for where you're at right now. And then the last thing that I think we need to remember is that we just need to be true to us, true to ourselves. And what I think is most important is, as we're kind of working through this series, is I want you to think about just one thing that you want to do or you want to change. And I want you to just start. So if you say, Jill, I really want to do social media, but I'm just not good at it. It's okay. Just start. I'm not good at it either, but I just started. I had never done these videos before COVID. And guess what? I'm doing videos. I just started. Is my lighting perfect? Is my hair always right? Is, there are papers on my table sometimes? Sure. But you know what? I'm starting. And that's what I want you to do. Pick one thing in your practice. Pick one thing for yourself and just start. So that's where we're at right now in this series. I'm going to bring you 3 more sessions after this, and I hope that we're just going to be able to build on this and it'll be encouraging for you. And I'm just so excited to be able to spend a little bit more time with you. So again, Jill Allen here from Jill Allen and Associates. I'm always here to help. If you know me or you know about me, I'm just a phone call or a text away. Please reach out if you've got questions. I love to talk to you about startups. I love to talk to you about practice acquisitions, or if you just need an ear to bend a little bit and you just need some good counsel, I'm here for you. So I look forward to seeing you next week.